Well, hey there, and welcome back to my channel. And here's a video on the Industrial Revolution in America. So let's begin. Okay, so what was the Industrial Revolution? Well, it was a big change in how goods were produced, and it began in the early 1800s, and it continued on for several decades. Now, this revolution started in Great Britain, and then it came to America and other parts of Europe. And during this time period, there were some major changes in how things were manufactured. There were new machines, there were new sources of power like steam power, and also there were new ways of producing and manufacturing goods, and all of these things came together to change how goods were produced in the United States. And at the start of the Industrial Revolution, most Americans worked in agriculture. They were farmers. But as the Industrial Revolution progressed, more and more people began working in factories. And the result of all of these changes was that the United States went from being an agrarian, primarily agricultural society, to an industrial powerhouse. Now let's talk about some of the factors that contributed to the start of the Industrial Revolution in America. First of all, there were advances in machinery. Like I mentioned earlier, there were all sorts of new inventions that made the production of goods more efficient. Secondly, there were improvements in transportation, and one of the biggest ones was the development of the steam engine. The steam engine was first invented by Thomas Savery in 1698, but it wasn't until James Watt made some improvements to it in the 1770s that it became a practical and useful machine. The steam engine was used to power all sorts of things like factories, mills, and later on it would power trains and steamships. And this just goes to show how important this invention was during the Industrial Revolution. And finally, there were improvements in manufacturing. This was due in part to the introduction of new machines such as the spinning jenny and the power loom. These machines made it possible to produce goods much more quickly and efficiently than before. And so with these new machines, it meant that there was a greater demand for these goods, and so people were willing to work in factories to produce them. Another major development during this time period was the building of new cities. As the Industrial Revolution progressed, more and more people began moving to cities where they could find work in factories. This led to the growth of new cities such as Manchester and Birmingham in England, and also cities like Boston, New York, and Chicago here in the United States. So, in conclusion, the Industrial Revolution was a major turning point in history. It changed the way goods were produced, and it also led to significant changes in the social and economic structures of the time. Anyway, I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, make sure to subscribe and I'll catch you on the next one.